I haven't seen this movie since it came out, I'm pretty sure. Dreamcatcher from 2003. I just threw this on again last night, and I remember it being really bad. And I did read the novel, I think when it first came out, like within the first year or so of when the book released. I read the novel, and I remember not much from it, but I remember it being very close to the film that we get here. The movie follows the story pretty damn well, but I threw it on because it's been on Tubi, and they've been pushing the shit out of it. Every time you browse, I've seen it 10 times in the last week or so. So I figured, why not? Let's throw it on. And the talent in this. You have Tom Jane, who would go on to be another adaptation of Stephen King, The Mist, a few years later. You have Damian Lewis, who is a phenomenal actor. And you have Timothy Oliphant, who is a national treasure. I adore that man. And you have Jason Lee, who was in all the Kevin Smith films. I was never a huge fan of his or those movies. Then you have Morgan Freeman, who was also in another adaptation of a King story with Shawshank Redemption. You have Tom Sizemore. You have Donnie Wahlberg playing Duddits. Then you have the director, Lawrence Kasdan, who co-wrote Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and a bunch of other successful and some big films. And he co-wrote the screenplay and script for this with, I forget the guy's name, but he wrote the script for Hearts in Atlantis, another King adaptation. And I do like the setting of the woods with the snow everywhere. That's cool. This movie is terrible. Terrible. This movie is not good in so many ways. And it's more insult to injury because of the talent involved. I attribute a lot of that to the fact that I just don't think this story, like many King stories, isn't able to be translated to film. There are a lot of Stephen King stories and novels that just do not translate well to film or television. This is one of them. He also wrote the novel right after he got hit by the car and had his accident, so I think that's noteworthy in this case. We have this group of friends that have been friends since childhood, and they were the little nerdy outcast gang, which we've seen in so many Stephen King movies and stories. And we get references to Derry, Maine, just like where the body was set, and of course it. And when they were kids, they rescued this disabled kid named Duddits, who loves Scooby-Doo. And he ended up gifting them this ability that they call the line, that they can see where things are and they just know things without knowing how they know them. Like a psychic power. Then decades go by, they get much older, and they meet up for their annual hunting trip in the woods, massive land, in this cabin. And then you have Morgan Freeman working for some government agency. I think it's a rogue agency, but it doesn't matter. And they quarantine off the whole land, massive amounts of land, where the cabin's located. And they know about this. Then they meet this infected-looking guy who looks so sick and diseased. I wouldn't let him anywhere near me or my residence or anything. This is a guy that you call for help from across the street. Like, you're not going anywhere near this person. And they just let him in their cabin, knowing there's a contagion around. And then you have the bathroom scene with Beaver, Jason Lee's character, with the worm that shoots out the sick guy's asshole. He's in the bathroom, sees the worm, traps it in the toilet bowl, sits on top of it, and then Jonesy, he goes off for a minute, and all this guy has to do is sit on the toilet bowl and not let this worm creature with insanely sharp teeth get out of there. And he quit smoking recently, so he puts toothpicks in his mouth and chews on toothpicks. And in that minute, he decides it's a great idea to reach for one of them that's in a clean spot in the bathroom. This is what that bathroom looked like. And the worm gets out. This movie is so stupid, it's beyond words. And that's the thing. The story seems fine on paper. Like, yeah, in the novel, I don't remember how it plays out. But on paper, just as, here's your story, it seems pretty good. But it's so terribly written and executed. You have Jonesy, who ends up getting possessed by an alien called Mr. Gay. Sorry, Mr. Gray. I do like the idea, and I forget, again, how they explore it, how much they do in the novel. I think they go pretty in depth into it with the mental warehouse, the storage warehouse in their minds, and Jonesy's moving the files and hiding the files and memories on duddits from Mr. Gray, kind of like real-time telepathy. That's cool. The memory warehouse, that's what it's called. Even the performances are not great here with all the talent. I don't know in the book if Mr. Gray, while inhabiting Jonesy, spoke British, but if it wasn't, what the fuck were they thinking with that? I don't know why a space alien would speak British, first of all, but the whole performance and that accent, I know he's a British actor, but he dials it up to 1,000. Oh, Jonesy, how did you find out about our boy Duddit? That's literally how this fucker talks. Like I said, don't remember if it's in the novel, but that's the only explanation for why it should be in this movie. So they end up picking up Duddits from, I don't know where the hell they had to travel to, Tom Jane's character, to travel to pick Duddits up and then go all the way back to the area they came from to get to the reservoir, the water supply that Mr. Gray / Jonesy has to drop the worm into. So they get Duddits to the reservoir. He has a final showdown with Mr. Gray, reveals himself to be an alien. Obviously, this person was an alien. Since he was this disabled kid, it's obvious. It's not a reveal. It's implied from second one. But that's the thing. If you take this on paper, the story, you have a group of 4 friends. They save this kid when they're children. They grow up. They go to the woods. There's an alien presence that's trying to contaminate and infect and take over the world. The place is quarantined. And then they have to use their friendship, their power, and their friend Duddits to help save the world because he was an alien who foresaw Mr. Gray, another alien species, coming to take over. It's not that complex of a story, and I could see it being done on a much lower budget. The budget for this was like $60-something million, and it flopped. It made like $10 million at the box office. Over its budget, like 70-something million. So it was a flop. But I could see it being done and executed pretty well on a much lower budget. I can see in my head,
in my mind, I see them.
Instead of having CGI that's just not good either through pretty much all of this, instead of the CGI of Mr. Gray as an alien and the worm, create a practical, sculpture of a worm with teeth and just shoot it in a way, in an ominous way that it just, doesn't show too much, and he's standing in front of Jonesy. Like, I could see it all being done so much better. But with the talent involved, as I keep saying, the director who co-wrote Empire, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the other guy, Hearts in Atlantis, all the great actors in this, and they couldn't bring this story to screen. So I don't think anybody can. But I would like to see somebody try. I'd like to see this remade again. Maybe a much lower budget production. Maybe an indie filmmaker wants to take this on and could play it a little more grounded and not over the top like this film is. There are very few positives about this film. The score I like. The main theme, I think that's good, but not good enough to ever get me to watch this movie again. But that's Dreamcatcher from 2003.